And welcome back to week 4 of the NECC. Tonight we got a banger. We got Valpo League of Legends versus University of British Columbia Jade. My name is Henry Speedy Kill Ninja, and I am joined with.
My name's Adam, and gamer tag is Monsieur.
Awesome. Well, we are going to get right into draft. Um, looking at actually, I did hear a couple. We'll
Couple
kick it back to casters for a second. Looks like draft may have had.
drafts
Okay.
taking just a second to
Yeah,
load.
draft's taking a second. Okay. But anyways, going into this game, we are 2-1 in the NECC. UBC Jade is 1-1, either having a bye week or a reschedule. But regardless, should be a good matchup for today. Rosters are pretty similar, at least skill level wise, as we do see often in the NECC. Some matchups to look at heading into this game. UBC has a very strong support player as well as a very strong jungler player. Both of those roles being very high impact for sure. Thoughts on their roster kind of going into it?
I was gonna say, taking a quick look at chance I had before the game. I definitely think that the ADC and support are definitely going to be very interesting. Again, you said Diamond support. I know that Valpo has been facing against a number of Master supports recently, the past
Yep.
few games in both CLOL and NECC. So interesting to see that the high skill players continue to be in the areas with some of the most highest impact in the
Yeah,
game.
it's funny because like every scrim, every Gleck match, NECC match, like their highest ranked player has like always been support. That's the case again today. So I mean, Diadem and the Law have their work cut out for them once again, but they're going to be very prepared for this one. A scary position to see a good player in is also jungle. Their jungler plays a lot of things like Gragas, Graves, also has that Zac and a Mumu pick that Super Bear likes a bit as well. Um, so high impact role and a good player is very scary. Some roles that I think will be favored in are the top and mid lane in our solo lanes. We have very good laners and very good players in those roles. And I think if you're a Valpo fan, that's really where we're going to be looking for an advantage is in that mid and top lane.
You love to see Dreadful and Jakimbo go absolutely crazy. But with that being said, we're going to transition actually right into the draft. And very quickly talking about the first bands, three on each side. For Valpo, we see the Aphelios, the Silas, and the Poppy. All three characters really strong right now in the current patch. And then we see UBC Jade responding with a Zac, Camille, and Darius pick. Interesting to see two top lane picks banning from UBC Jade, as usually top lane is normally determined later on in the draft.
Yes, I'm definitely shocking bands for the side of UBC. Seeing two top bands in round one is very unique, rare to see for sure. Which hats off to Dreadful for threatening those blind picks in top lane. The Ziggs is something that Valpo has been very strong with, so that being taken away with pick 1 and 2. And that J4 is, another thing that is Valpo really likes to play. So, if these teams were like on different sides, if there was no name tags at the top, I wouldn't be surprised if Valpo's on the red side here until we see that Galio pick. Something we were a bit concerned about going into this game. Galio is very strong right now, and just a good character to be honest.
Yeah, specifically why he's so strong right now is just the mage meta in the mid is so strong, and even AP, even ability power carries down in the bot lane. You have your Hui, you have your Ziggs, you have Brand. A lot of those characters just that usually take ability power are now been seen a lot as the ADC role, so Galio gets even more use out of it.
So you're expecting that Galio to be a mid laner, correct?
I would expect to see the Galio mid.
Same here. And Ziggs being in the bot lane. Another interesting thing about that is Chikimbo is going to have to get his lead through CSing and plates. Galio typically roams, and he typically doesn't get solo killed just because he's so tanky and has a lot of like movement out as well too. Has that little dash ability. But I mean, he's just a very tanky character, so likely won't see many kills in the mid lane. That Viego for Super Bear kind of being that super carry character for him has been a strong pick for him. And then the Kaisa, we've seen a ton of that at Worlds in the Tier 1 scene. But excited to see Diadem, what he's able to do with that today. Looking at the bans, Valpo opts to throw their top bans in round two, the Set and the Tom Kench. And then two support bans being thrown at the Law. You see some both disengaged supports there. So they do not want to go against disengage here.
I was gonna say, as we see the final picks coming up from UBC Jade and Valpo, we see the Nautilus by UBC Jade again, really good engage into the Ziggs, can lock him down enough for the Ziggs to drop basically his full combo on. And we see a Thresh response with a few seconds left to still go, and Thresh does lock in again. The Kaisa Thresh lock it in. Thresh hooks. Kaisa is able to get her combo off and even be able to use her ultimate to get around as soon as Thresh gets a good hook.
Yeah, Thresh is a great pick. Aatrox, one of the best blind top laners, the best blind top lane pick, in my opinion, for several seasons. But especially right now in this patch, there's not really much that is like great in Aatrox. He doesn't have many counter picks, as well as him being very strong in team fights, but also having the ability to duel in lane will definitely be a favorable pick for Dreadful.
We're
But
gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see some more damage probably come. We're gonna see more damage come out from UBC Jade's side.
Absolutely. And this would be a very interesting pick. Um, yeah, it's gonna be tough to play around. We don't play against many split pushing top laners, as that's like not really a meta you see in competitive. Um, but yeah, Lowy. We did face that kind of Lowy one trick pony in the Great Lakes Esports Conference a couple weeks ago. That Monsieur actually did face himself. Had some struggle with that. The big thing in this is going to be Void Grubs.
Yeah,
Valpo needs to at least get three, ideally six, because you're looking at not only the Lowy but also the Ziggs. Ziggs can generate a ton of gold through plates, turret plates. In the early game, pre 14 minutes, you see a lot of lane swapping, him moving around. Especially Galio kind of being a self-sufficient laner, he's able to go on his own even in a 1v2 lane. So expect to see Nautilus, Roman up, and Thresh as well for those Void Grubs first spawn. That's probably where we're going to see our first action in this match. But Void Grubs, we've seen it being a super highly contested objective at Worlds. The Void Grubs, we already knew that it was more impactful than the first two dragons, but like at Worlds, like we've seen teams not even really care about the dragons in the early game. Like they're really gunning for that Void Grubs, and looking at UBC's comp, like that's exactly what they want.
I was gonna say, yeah, we've seen games end in like 20, 22 minutes in World just because of having six Void Grubs, and especially if you have a good split pushing. Something that we didn't really bring a lot of notice to in the first half was specifically Jakimba's pick of Syndra. Now, I do know obviously it's not the best fit in the Galio, but Galio's willing to take a lot of those hits, which gives Syndra the ability to start getting her stacks up pretty even faster.
Yeah,
So it'll be interesting to see just how fast Akimbo's able to start hitting his 40, 60, 80, 100, and 120 splinter power
I
spikes.
think Jakimbo on Syndra is obviously one of his more comfortable picks, and he's really strong, really good player on Syndra. I think he's going to be very far ahead and one-shot people late game. I just don't foresee any excitement happening in the mid lane. Um, unless this Galio just, makes some significant mistakes or Super Bear kind of helps out with some ganks. I just, that 2v2, I definitely see the way going the way of J4 and Galio early. J4 has a lot of skirmish potential in the early game, especially probably being one of their better players. Um, yeah, I just think that lane's going to be like not a super exciting lane.
Yeah, but once
Um,
laning phase is over, it's going to be great for Valpo,
yeah,
especially with the infinite scaling of Thresh too. You can't forget having infinite souls, and we've seen recently any stacking champion magically got a huge consequential buff because of the new item changes.
yeah, I think half the reason I didn't even like mention the Syndra is because like it's almost a given that like Jakimbo is going to be like strong and one shot people in the late game. Um, Jakimbo's like style though is like very like farmy and like not super exciting usually. He usually just like builds a gold advantage, takes leads, takes what's given to him. Um, and yeah,
And then he
so
throws down some combos that always look like magic whenever you see him on the keyboard.
yeah. But anyways, we are going to take a quick break while we wait for the stream delay to head into the game, and we will see you guys shortly.
Always gonna have a little.
All right, and we are back. Luckily, no shenanigans happening in the early game there. But yeah, apologies about the technical difficulties, but we got game one of week 4 of the NECC, Valpo Esports versus University of British Columbia Jade. Yeah.
I was gonna say, as we hop in, taking a quick look at items as we like to do, we see top lane's gonna start both relatively on the passive side, both with Doran shields. We're gonna see the rings in the mid lane, and then bot side we see Doran's blade for Kaisa and ring for Ziggs. So kind of a expected early lead. We are seeing that Jakimbo is already starting to chunk out the Galio a little bit. We are going to see the grab come out from the Nautilus. The Law is just going to back away, but does say hello to a little bit of damage coming their way. And with UBC Jade hitting level 2, Valpo will have to be slightly careful here.
do have both junglers starting on their top side, so probably going to be meeting at that bot scuttle. Makes sense that both junglers are playing for bot side as well, but you have Super Bear going for a gank here early game. Galio a little bit out of position, but we'll have to flash out. J4 was there as well, looking for a counter gank. But great start for Super Bear and Jakimbo in that mid jungle duo. And we're able to find the flash of Galio and force a reset potentially.
Looks, he's going to try to stay, but Jakimbo is just going to continue to try to chunk him out. I don't think he'll find purchase completely.
At some point he's going to have to back and spend his TP there. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be a great start for the mid laner. And kind of proved me wrong there. I mean, had some kill pressure there. Did not die, but is going to have both sums down. So good early lead for CS and tempo for Jakimbo.
I was gonna say, Flash was burned right around 2:45, so we expected to see back up right around the end of the first objectives. So Galio's Flash should be down.
I love this from J4, looking for a counter gank here through the lane. Did not get seen sneaking in here. He is hoping that the wave is pushing out, but at this point he's gonna be wasting time. Was hoping for Viego to be on his gank timer there, but Viego's just gonna be able to pick up the scuttle for free. And J4 deciding to stay still. But they're going to collapse mid lane here. Maybe Viego decides to back off.
Yep, the Law and Diadem, I was going to say, we were saying earlier, we do know that normally it is, Valpo is a little bit weaker in the bot side, and Valpo realizing that, they're just going to play it safe. Don't try to overextend, don't try to get an early lead. We see that Diadem is even with the Ziggs in terms of CS, which is, if you're a Valpo fan, really good to see.
Yeah, actually a pretty big mistake by the side of UBC's jungler. Just wasted a lot of time there and is going to get double scuttled if Super Bear decides to head up there. And he did back on that scuttle too, so they're going to have vision. And looks like Super Bear is going to head to that top scuttle. So great, I mean, minor lead in the jungle. But yeah, Super Bear looking really good in that matchup. Has had more impact on the lanes and has had more CS for himself as well.
I was just saying, you're not gonna complain, and Valpo is already up just in terms of CS about 500 gold, which not a lot, but when it's this early in the game, you really can't complain. And looking where that gold is being distributed, we see that top lane is just about purely even, jungle slightly ahead, but as we said earlier, Jakimbo's the master of farm himself is up almost 300 gold just up on the Galio.
Yeah, so I mean that lead's coming from the jungle mid, which they're proving me wrong here. You know, I thought this was going to be something that was going to be favored to UBC in the early game here, but it looks like Valpo is just going to put out a dominant performance in the early game here as Super Bear gives that kill over to Jakimbo.
Giving first blood, and Jakimbo did burn teleport to get back to lane earlier, but no ultimate was used in trying to take that fight. So we are going to see the Nautilus on vision. J4 is up in the top side looking for Dreadful to hopefully overextend. But with that being said, that means Jakimbo's ult is available for a team fight, which will be very strong, especially as we see Valpo roaming to potentially get the grubs.
Yeah, so I love this swap by Valpo here. You got Jakimbo heading to the bot lane. They move Diadem to the mid lane, and you got Thresh down here with Viego pressuring this Void Grubs. Do have Prio in the top lane as Alawi is low on mana, gonna have to TP back there. So Valpo will have Prio at least for the first or second grub here. So gonna be a true 3v3 into 4v4.
Diadem does get caught up by the hook. We see the Galio all onto the Nautilus trying to get a better knockup, not finding really good purchase. Law is trying to zone J4, and Law does land the hook with the ignite. Flash going out. We see the alley ult, but we see that Dreadful is able to take the kill on to the J4.
Yeah, it was big that conversion on Diadem didn't pan out for the side of UBC. That Galio ult did not land, and Valpo was able to collapse. And then, you know, you see Dreadful just flashing to secure that kill for himself onto J4, and that will be 3 Void Grubs over to the side of Valpo. They got all 3 there, right?
Yep, all 3 Void Grubs grabbed. Valpo also was able to secure a kill, and you're a Valpo fan, you are screaming happy because genuinely, you couldn't ask for anything better in that team fight.
Yeah, I mean they're looking great here. They've had some concerns over the early game. I feel like the past week or two of games, but I've played it really solid so far today, and it's not with a comp that like they have had like a ton of success with in the past. Or I mean, not that they haven't had success on this comp, but the comps that we have seen successful for them in the early game are that kind of like J4, Talia, Ziggs, essentially kind of what UBC is going for here. But great to have that lead to start out with, and you will see this rotation back. Svalpo will be a little bit late getting to this bot turret and going to lose a couple plates for it. Um,
Yeah, the Nautilus Collide is going to secure UBC Jade their second plating bot side, and we said we've been saying that it's been something to watch out for. Again, Valpo is a little bit weaker in the bot lane, like rank-wise compared to others, and so we do see that we're now starting to see that CS lead for UBC Jade go up, and with that extra plating, UBC Jade is starting to get some of their additional, is starting to get some of their gold back.
Yeah, interesting how Dreadful's playing this. He's kind of playing in the allowy. Maybe it's decides he can't get out in time, regardless. But interesting approach to this allowy matchup. And UBC does pick up the dragon here while Valpo is kind of just farming, hanging out. And Syndra is able to find the solo kill with the flash and auto.
Dreadful is low, and the alley is also low. It's going to be very close to see what's happening. We're going to see the flash come out from the alley, trying to find purchase on Dreadful, but Dreadful is able to escape with just a sliver of HP.
Yeah, he was looking for that flash dunk. Don't think he realized that the Aatrox ultimate did have that extra movement speed. Good flash reaction time by the law. Note he does not have X Flash on Thresh there, which kind of just, you know, what you prefer, but that flash being a little bit more valuable. So, Valpo in a very good spot, up 2k gold here. Do see a slight lead to the side of the bot lane for UBC, but Valpo is dominating in that mid, jungle, and top.
I was gonna say we see that Galio is buying Spectre's Cowl, as expected with that magic resistance. But something to point out for Jakimbo's side, Jakimbo again Ziggs is up slightly more in CS. However, the 2 extra kills and the 2 Darksteel stacks is something to definitely take note of because of the extra ability power. But we see the Sorcerer shoes are fully completed on Syndra, which is really good to see that extra magic pen being really helpful. Valpo does have to be careful here as there are currently 2 people showing for sure. J4, don't know if Valpo saw them in the vision, but Gallia was missing. Assuming that that's being said through comms. But with that being said, Valpo does have to be careful for a potential 4-way die bot side, as neither Kaisa or Thresh are necessarily the strongest right now.
Yep, do have Grubs coming up in 25. You see UBC's bot lane already taking their reset here, have Nautilus on their way. J4 is going to be a little bit late for that objective, but Valpo also has 2 players in the bot lane. So both teams not super prepared for this, but we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I mean, this is going to be super important Void Grubs. You know, at this point, UBC just trying to deny the 5 or 6, and Valpo trying to secure it for that extra gold lead. Even though their comp doesn't like revolve around getting these turrets, like it's still so huge. And you see Jakimbo with that gold lead putting it to work.
As I say, absolutely chunky down. We are going to see that Galio does get caught up a little bit. We are going to see the alley does throw the ult, but it was not enough to save the Galio. Syndra does ult the J4, and Aatrox is able to knock down the Galio, making this a 3-0 kills for Valpo, and it being a 6-0 Grub game.
Yeah, so what you saw there is J4 fully committing onto the Syndra. Used Flag and Drag, Flash, Ultimate, but none of his team was with him. Everyone else had all their eyes turned to Dreadful, as he was able to kill his opponent super early in that team fight, and they weren't able to find the follow-up on Syndra. So Jakimbo was just able to kill the J4 simply.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, absolutely great to see if you're a Valpo fan. Again, something that Valpo that we've been working on a lot this past week, especially after the last game on Tuesday, is really talking about communicating who you need to follow up on, who you need to kill, to make sure that the gold is not going to waste, or make sure that the damage isn't going to waste. Because if you get 2 people to 1% health, it genuinely doesn't matter. you'd rather have one person at 100 and one person dead because that gives you the extra gold. We are going to see though that the Ziggs is showing why Ziggs is so strong right now, as he is able to finish the rest of that tower, claiming a full 5 plates and first tower gold. And this means that Ziggs and Not are going to roam up trying to get some extra platings on the mid lane before turret plating falls at 14 minutes.
And you did see in that first fight for UBC, there was some miscommunication there. Whether it was miscommunication or them being split, they're not on the same page, whether it's in-game or in comms. Just with the J4 fully committed and then everyone else having split focus on the Aatrox. And Aatrox having so much healing and no anti-heal yet for the side of UBC. But we do see a pick here onto the Nautilus. Diadem going to pick up that kill, and he's on the board for Valpo. And gonna have a lot of pressure on this mid turret with those 6 Void Grubs.
J4 is gonna look for something. J4 does have ult, but not able to find purchases. Super Bear is able to take that, is able to secure the kill on the J4, continuing Valpo's lead of almost 4,000 gold at this point. Again, something to point as we see the scuttle. Super is taking a scuffle. Galio is gonna disengage. But something to point out is with Dreadful taking, or with Diadem taking that kill in the bot lane, that does make him just about even in gold as Ziggs. However, with plating, Ziggs is still up right around 400 gold.
Yeah, still see that absolutely massive lead in the solo lanes in the jungle, as well as we do see Dreadful with the solo bolo, ulting, flashing, getting that. I mean, he loves doing that third Q flash just to kind of secure the kill there. But he is dominating.
Yeah, Aatrox is such a scary champion as soon as he gets any extra gold. Already a really strong champion on its own if you're laning well, but as soon as you can start abusing your lead, you can see it goes really well. Diadem is nearly going to get caught up. We're going to see J4 that is gonna QE and try to flash, not being able to finding purchase, but Diadem is going to flash out, which does mean that for Rift Herald and the next dragon, that flash will be down for Diadem, so he'll have to play a little bit more safely.
Yeah, he did a great job with the E, being able to dodge the Gnaw Hook and the Flag and Drag. When he gets ult there, maybe try and wait a split second to grab that Lantern instead of using Flash, but I get in that situation. I mean, you got a Nautilus with ultimate at J4, like you're just trying to get out as fast as possible.
Yeah, you have a Ziggs that while he is really high in terms of minion score, so I don't fault Diadem at all.
Yeah, I don't think the fault is the flash. It's probably being in that position in the first place. It's probably where the little mishap is. But anyways, I mean, Valpo doing a great job this game so far. Almost have a perfect game. I was just checking all the boxes. Got all the Void Grubs. Got no turrets taken, no kills lost. But they do have that Soul Dragon. Oh, they also have the bot turret too.
We are going to see Dreadful is going to pop his ult in response to the E out in the Illawi ult, or however I always told it says Illawi ult. But we are going to see Dreadful just have to be careful, as the Illawi always does. She does a significant chunk of damage, but Dreadful is just showing why he's the master of the top lane, as he is going to be able to once again solo bolo that kill, only having to use ultimate this time as a response, while the enemy top laner had to use flash to try to escape and was not able to find purchase.
I think Lich's having a tough time here because Alawi's kit is really based around going against melee champions, and you like want the fight to come to you and you want to play on top of the enemy laner. But Dreadful is so far ahead that like there's no option to fight. I mean, you just got to sit under your turret, which no longer exists, and kind of just farm up and get XP. Because at the end of the day, Alawi's still going to be a threat in the split pushing come late game. Obviously in this game, not nearly as much as typical, but yeah, just fighting Dreadful is not really much of an option for Lich anymore in this game.
Yeah, fighting Dreadful one-on-one is, especially Iceborne Gauntlet, is more of a defensive item, and so the fact that Dreadful is able to shred through it means we're gonna have to see Lich have at least 2 items, preferably 3, before they're gonna be able to fully knock out Dreadful. But at the same time, he's just continuing to gather gold. Dreadful's almost at 2 items and boots completed at 17 minutes.
Speaking on UBC's junglers build to the J4 starting Eclipse. Eclipse is a very like standard start for J4. Would like to see him start to transition into a little bit more defensive build, just based off of where he's at in the game. J4 has like one of the most flexible builds in the game, outside of like maybe Kaisa or something like that. But anyways, I think he's going to be much better off in this game if he maybe looks for the what's that like AOE slow item with all the armor? I mean, that's what he looks like he's
Um,
building. It's
I was
not
gonna say
Iceborne.
Crossfire.
It's got like mana, armor, and then the AOE slow. But anyways, just a more defensive build.
I
But
was
you
gonna
do
say
see
Thimblewinter, but that's not it.
big
We're gonna
team
see
fight here. Galio finding the knock-up, have the J4 ult on top. You got the TPs coming in. Jakimbo is arrived at the fight as well as Dreadful with the ultimate. Ziggs dropping really low. Able to find with the Syndra, and Aatrox cleaning it up on the Galio. And Dreadful is unstoppable, able to take the mid lane turret, and gonna have this Rift Herald with 6 grubs, so this is going to be a lot of gold. And you see Alawi opted not to use the TP, just looking for that gold bounty in the top lane, but it is not going to be worth it as Valpo is marching down into UBC's base, and that's going to be another turret, going to be an inhib as well. I mean, this is a lot. They could, okay, if this was my solo queue game, I'd keep going. But smartly going to back off for this dragon, spawning at a perfect time. Valpo has no TPs to respond to this top turret, but it does not matter because Valpo just expanded their gold lead to about 8k, which is nearly insurmountable.
Yeah, we are. It is going. It is going. It is going to be unfortunate that that trade happens. But UBC Jade knew that having Lich TP and try to help in that fight was not going to end. Did not have a higher chance of ending well. And when you're behind with something that we talked about is, especially when you're taking an objective where you have a 4 or 5 man stack in a part of a lane, you look to see what else you can do to either get ahead or make plays on the other side of the map. So UBC Jade, while definitely taking a significant chunk there, losing 4 people, 2 towers, and an inhib, not being down and out completely as they were able to start making some purchase with towers, but even with gold objectives, only giving them about 600 gold, 400 to Lich, not necessarily what you want to see.
Yeah, we're item up and top through mid, jungle as well. Bot lane just about even there as well, so Valpo definitely in the lead. Only death so far going to the Law, but honestly doesn't matter as long as you won the team fight. UBC just didn't have enough damage there, and you see why the Void Grubs, why the Rift Herald is so important, and why the Dragon doesn't even really matter half the time, because they have a 7k gold lead off of one team fight win. Granted, they were up, I don't know what it was. Yeah, 2-3k. Before that, but they were able to just like blow open their lead with one team fight win into the Rift Herald pop. Like it's now like Valpo has like, you know, if you see that graph that they have at like Worlds in the LCS with the win probability, like we're at 95 plus now.
And again, we love a good win probability. We are going to see Valpo is going to go for a 4-1. Mid in the bot lane. We are going to see Nautilus is going to be standing in the front trying to protect, and it does look like Valpo is starting to make some pings. Dreadful is not going to be able to find a lot of damage on that tower just because of the taunt from Galio. As soon as he gets within that tower range, Galio knows just to press and hold W for about a quarter second, and once that aggro triggers, he's going to take tower damage. So unfortunately, Dreadful's not able to secure his lead as well, but it does force Galio to be in the bot lane. Even with his ultimate, he can't, it's not a full global. It's about like a third of the map, maybe about where the blue buff is.
It is really strange that UBC is opting to match the laners they are with our laners, because they got Galio matching our Aatrox. Galio has only magic resist, Alawi has only armor. And both of them have TP up. It makes sense, you know, if Galio had the TP and Alawi didn't when they're kind of pressuring on that Baron. But you will see, I mean, to be honest though, no one can really match Dreadful at this point in the game. So
no one person can. And we are going to see Jakimbo move down towards the bot lane to ensure that this tower does get broken. Jakimbo not able to find,
just misses
the QE stun. But with Valpo's mid laner being shown in the bot wave, UBC Jade could be looking for another play here, as they now know the two people, they know that Valpo would have to burn 2 teleports in order to do anything.
Yeah, Valpo luckily has 2 teleports online. Another thing is UBC has 3 teleports. All of them are live as well. So, I mean, if you just see like a minor skirmish breakout, it could easily turn into a 5v5 very quickly. Which is kind of what we saw in the mid lane, and then Galio having ultimate as well, just hopping in. But this is what we're going to want to see UBC try to do if they want to get back into this game. Is this Alawi pressuring lanes, and then grouping up as 4, playing as 1 and 4 with this for UBC. Valpo needs to get vision control around this Baron, as they need to have their sights set on this next objective.
I think they don't. UBC Jade does not, I don't think, fully know where Syndra. Well, now they know where Syndra is, because Syndra is doing all of Galio's. Well, not even all of Galio's health. Now that he has Unending Despair and the Mercury Treads, we are seeing that Galio's going to start doing a little bit. Is going to start being able to tank some of those hits. We see the Haunting guys probably building in for a Leandry's third item.
Yep.
Just because of the.
I don't know what else that builds into other than Leandry's.
I thought it built into something else, but I could just be a little bit rusty. We are going to see that. Valpo and Super Bear is going to start showing that it's no longer Jade's jungle. It is Super Bear's jungle on all sides.
Yep. Luckily, UBC Jade does have that jungle item completed. Oftentimes in these kind of landslide, especially when turrets are down, it's tough to really like have a jungle and have camps to get. So luckily, is up for 50-50s, but we see a collapse on Dreadful here. Is going to pop the ultimate, gets Nautilus ulted. Unfortunate CC. Alawi going to ultimate, and that's going to do it with the J4 and Ziggs ult on top. Valpo is going to transition to this bot turret, to this dragon, play cross map. UBC, finding the gold where they can, and Valpo is going to capitalize with this bot turret, with this dragon. Unfortunately, shutdown does go to the way of the J4.
A little
could be
scary
worse though.
But I was going to say, we saw 4 ultimates and 2 sums be used by UBC Jade just to be able to kill Dreadful.
Yeah.
So if Valpo finds a good opportunity for a Baron play here, Jade really does not have any good way to be able to respond, while as Valpo still has all their ultimates and all their summoner spells, with the exception of Dreadful burning his ultimate. Didn't even burn Flash trying to escape that fight, by the way.
Yeah, when you're down like this, going for cross map plays and then also picks are like pretty much the only way to get back. So UBC definitely knows how to play from this position. But yeah, I mean, Valpo kind of at some point just kind of has to threaten this Baron. I mean, I feel like they can do it. They've had the vision for a while now. Just kind of looking for the next objective for a team fight. But I mean, other than that, kind of just trying to slowly close this game out. But I would like to see Valpo with a little bit more tempo. Tempo is a word we always love to use in League of Legends. Not really sure all the time what it means. It's like a multi-layered word.
It's whoever controls the speed of
tempo.
the game. Yeah, the tempo. But we are going to see, it does look like it might be a little bit longer before we're able to see a full Baron team fight, as we do see Syndra in the bot lane responding to Lich. Valpo does have to be careful here. Super Bear is caught out slightly. The Law does throw down the Lantern trying to find Super Bear purchase. But we're going to see the teleport come in. Super Bear is going to fall here. Ziggs is not going to fall here. Dreadful comes in. We see the teleport coming in from Lich. Jakimbo is able to knock out the Nautilus. The Yali is ulting, trying to find anything, but she's just not getting a lot of healing yet because she doesn't have Sundered Sky. And Valpo is able to take a kill and not lose anyone in the process.
Yeah, Super Bear luckily able to get out in that team fight. All members kind of low for Valpo. Got to watch out for the Ziggs poke. Luckily, the ultimate's already down. Not a whole lot of weapons left or tools available for UBC. And Syndra going to find the kill. Oh, wow.
Absolutely amazing hook from the Law.
That was a crazy interaction.
Crazy hook landing from the Law. Able to, Valpo taking the inhibitor. Please excuse the interruption again for as we figure this out. Valpo extends their lead to just over 9,000 gold, and even though Valpo is low, there's 2 members of UBC Jade that are going to take at least 20 seconds to be up. They do both have teleport, which is kind of scary. We are going to see that we are going to see Lich try to look for something. Does end up grabbing the E onto the Law. But Jakimbo, because Lich has been only building armor, one combo is able to chunk her about 40%.
The nice thing about this is Valpo has the vision control, and they have Syndra just being the bouncer into the river, into their jungler. If they want to face check the Baron, they're going to have to go through a Syndra who can first disengage, also take their entire health bar away. So great Baron. Looks like they are going to Baron, reset. Not really any objectives. Probably going to look at a 1-3-1 here with Syndra and Aatrox in the side lanes. Use that pressure from the super minions. Use those 6 grubs to try and work at these turrets with that Baron. Kind of just let the minions do the work. I mean, they got all the grubs, all the minions, everything they need to do it. But yeah, looking at this 1-3-1, looks like Aatrox is going to group up with the team here in the mid lane. And, Galio and Alawi at some point have to go back to defend their base. Looking for a pick on the J4. Oh, and Galio will TP for that.
If you're Valpo, you're happy to see. We see that the law does hook the J4, not being able to do too much damage as the team isn't there. Jakimbo is there absolutely chunking out Lich, causing them to have to burn Flash. With that being said, Jakimbo is able to absolutely burn through Galio's damage. We see Dreadful soloing Nautilus, and Super Bear is able to take the Ziggs, and with Super Bear taking the Super Bear just trying to take the J4. You have to use Smite. Come on, Super Bear. And Super Bear will take
I'm starting to get to the point where, okay, maybe we should just end the game and stop chasing. But the Law, I don't know how much cooldown reduction he has, but had like 4 hooks just in that one fight. And the Alawi not able to live to get that ultimate fully off. And we got a, dominant game by Valpo, winning by 13k, winning by a kill count of 20-2, and they are looking good in game 1. So Valpo taking the game 1 in this best of 3 series over University of British Columbia Jade. And we will take a short break and head into game 2. Any final thoughts though before we head into game 2?
Not really. Again, we, as kind of exactly what we said earlier, top and mid were just the 2 lanes to really watch out for. DNM able to hold his own extremely well and be able to cause the Ziggs and Nautilus to have to respect him. But absolutely flawless gameplay from Valpo. Again, few things to small iron out, but really, really strong performance. And we will catch you in just a few minutes with the pick and bans for game 2 of this NECC Week 4 series.
And welcome back to Game 2 of Valpo Esports versus University of British Columbia Jade. We are in Week 4 of the NECC, and we will be hopping straight into draft. You see Valpo on the red side this time as UBC decides to take blue side, get that first pick, and with it, they pick Syndra.
Syndra, looking at the OPGGs for both teams, Syndra was a pick ban for both sides, and both sides were just. Valpo, I think, knew that if they let the Syndra go through, they'll get the Ziggs, or if the Ziggs goes through, they'll get the Syndra.
I wouldn't mind seeing a J4 Talia or J4 Ziggs and then try and pick up Talia because Syndra's already picked. Yeah, so we see the J4, we see the Ziggs. That R3 is going to be Talia.
Are you
Hopefully
sure?
they help me out and make me look like I know what I'm talking about.
Knock on wood. You know what happens as soon as we say anything on the cast, it always goes the exact opposite direction. Remember that week when Vector and I were talking about anything but the game, and as soon as we did, Valpo would continue to win.
Hey, I said we had a 95% chance plus of us winning the game, and luckily we still won the game. That would have been an ultimate caster curse. Anyways, probably going to see the Galio and Zin. So we do see the Zinza. Oh, why am I saying Galio? They already picked mid lane. It's okay. These Tuesday 9 o'clock blocks are brutal for the casters. Um,
Especially if it goes into a full three block.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen today. I sure hope not. Not only for the sake of Valpo, and I guess being a biased commentator, but also for the sake of our sleep. So,
Uh,
trying to work that earlier sleep schedule. One, just because
it's the
I
week after
should.
midterms.
But also this Saturday we have to get up super early to head to Manchester. We got League of Legends and Super Smash Bros. Playing in person at Manchester University. So really excited for that for the Valpo Esports program this weekend. But we'll have the Tom Kench top lane, so picking up that top lane in the first round. They're a big first round top lane team, which is interesting. And that Gwen is going to be a massive counter pick. Dreadful, not typically seen on the Gwen pick, at least that I'm aware of, but Gwen does really well into Tom Kench.
I was gonna say Gwen with the snips does a lot of damage. And if you were UBC Jade, this could be now an angle where you would want to maybe see Gallia with two really big AP scaling characters. But we are gonna see the Zen Zhao come in from UBC Jade, so an overall good pick, again, relatively easier champion to use, but really high skill ceiling, especially when with getting that really good those really good W extensions.
I think we didn't see the Talia based off of the Syndra range. We'll still probably see it, but also kind of just the Gwen responding to the Tom Kench while it's still up. I still think we'll see. Actually, no, I think we're going to have to play AD mid laner. And it's going to be Smolder. I said it right before it flickered. Yeah, probably going to need an AD mid laner.
The Fury.
Nefiri is another pick. Jakimbo doesn't have as big of a champ pool as far as AD. I mean, it's probably between those two, I think. And do see the Smolder, so quite a bit of scaling for the side of Valpo with the Gwen and the Smolder. What do you think is best for UBC in this position?
So you're something to lock down. Obviously, in the bot lane would be really good. I would say like even like a Zaya Rakan would be really nice to see, but we see the Zaya was already banned. Leona, okay, they're gonna
Okay,
they said Rakan. Okay, I was half right. So they said Rakan,
Zyra Khan.
but we can't see Zayas. So who's gonna be the lovely plus one to Rakan this time? We see the Zeri and Jinx hover,
Jinx makes a lot more sense, IMO.
so we should hope then they pick Zeri.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen Zeri in a long time.
And we are gonna see the Zeri. We are gonna see the Zeri pick from Jade. Um, this
Oh, the
is
Bard. Give me the Bard.
the law.
Bard
The law is on his signature. Oh,
Tarek probably makes more sense, but going with the comfort, the hype character Bard would also be cool. Leona, a lot of lockdown, a lot of CC, also would be a good pick. A lot of options here for the law, and will lock in the Bard. Love to see it for the side of Valpo. So strengths for Valpo's comp going into this. First of all, got to address that Gwen split push. Is a super strong lane, especially when it comes mid lane, transition into that late game. Once again, grubs are going to be a big thing as they do have that zig, so kind of vice versa, flip that objective around. Um, what else? Smolder stacking.
Smolder stacking, yeah, Ziggs with the bombs. Now here's the $1 million question for you. Ziggs mid Smolder ADC or Smolder mid Ziggs ADC?
Nah, Ziggs ADC. I feel like Ziggs ADC is better just to kind of have that companion to make up for a lot of Ziggs shortfalls. But we will also likely, I mean, 100% sure when those grubs spawn, we're going to see that same rotation from Valpo where they're going to move their bot lane up to the mid lane. So Bard and Ziggs are going to move up to that mid lane. Bard more kind of just in the top river area, getting vision, roaming. And we're going to see Smolder move to that bot lane and match the Zeri. So J4, definitely a more early game skirmishy champ, but Zinzao as well, very strong early game. Um, Strengths for the side of University of British Columbia, Jade. I mean, I don't love their draft, partly because it's just unfamiliar to me, and I don't really see the goal and the idea with it. Which I mean, I just am not familiar with like seeing a comp like this, just because it's something that our team doesn't really play. So it's not
Uh,
really like saying it's bad. It's just I'm not really sure. Like,
I can't tell who they're trying to.
yeah, I don't. It doesn't have like a direct focus or plan that like is jumping out to me. Um, but Tom Kench is a good champion.
Syndra's
Um,
a good champion.
Syndra also a good champion. I'm gonna say team fighting. Also picks. Picks will be huge
Uh,
too. Zinzao and Syndra really good at picks. Tom Kench also his ultimate. Going to be helping out Zeri in these team fights. There's a lot of peel for that Zeri between Rakan, Tom Kench, the disengage from Syndra. But this is kind of a funky comp for the side of Valpo, kind of funky for UBC. For them, they're on match point, might as well, go out guns a-blazing. And for Valpo, I mean, you just see Jakimbo kind of being forced into the AD pick, as well as the Law just kind of playing Bard, which
it's
he's
Bard.
great on. It's just Bard. Like, he's just a weird champ. Probably going to see some more roaming with that as well. And kind of just help Jakimbo build this lead because Smolder is not a great champion early game.
Nah, the meant it's always surprising when they released him that he was meant to be introductory ADC, and so they've kind of kept his win rate around that. But even in the upper tiers of Valpo and NECC and CLOL play, we've been seeing a lot of Smolder just as again a really good AD pick, and once you hit 225 stacks with that true damage execute, just does so much.
Yeah, luckily we haven't seen Smolder like every single game at Worlds this year because he was like a super, super popular pick when he first came out. Um, but yeah, I mean, going to be interesting. A lot of this, I mean, I feel like we're just gonna have to see how it plays out. I feel like Valpo is once again going to have a very strong top lane matchup. And the goal for Valpo, if Diadem and the Law can keep this Basa board matchup kind of even, I'm confident in the ability of Jakimbo, Dreadful, and Super Bear kind of making that lead in the top jungle and mid. Additionally, Super Bear is decently outranked by this jungler. UBC's jungler probably being their second best player by rank, and played it phenomenally the early game, and the lead just kept snowballing from there. So looking for another great game from Super Bear, and we're gonna need it this time. Luckily on that Jarvan 4, which is a very comfort pick for him. So, any final thoughts about this draft before we take a quick break?
I'm excited to see where it goes. I really am interested to see the mid lane matchup between Smolder and Syndra. Again, seeing good ganks by either the Xin or the J4 could very easily start turning the tide for what that first about 10 minutes of the game looks like. But with that being said, please excuse us while we go into a quick break as we prepare for the second game of UBC Jade versus Avalpo Esports in Week 4 of the NECC Conference. And we are back with game 2 of the NECC conference, Valpo versus UBC Jade. Valpo is going to take this. This is match point for Valpo. With that being said, looking at the quick split of where where people are on the map, we do see it's a 3-1-1 from UBC Jade. And again, just a reminder, UBC Jade in the blue, and Valpo on the right, or in on the red. My bad.
We'll see. A couple emotes there. UBC in good spirits still at this late hour of night. Wonder what time zone British Columbia is. I think they're Eastern, right?
I think so, and if they're Eastern, then they are feeling it a little bit more than we are
Yeah,
right
there are a
now.
couple Eastern Standard Time teams in this division, and I feel bad for them. I mean, if it's brutal for us, I mean, I know Michigan's in this division, UBC. What was that? Oh, we also have Pacific teams. I mean, we're playing international. Like, we're talking about Law Worlds happening right now. This is Law Worlds in the NECC and Collegiate as we speak in our division. I mean, we're playing California, Long Beach, Michigan, teams in Canada. Like, this is something.
There's the Las Vegas game coming up soon,
I didn't even know.
and
Imagine if we traveled for NECC too. Like, that would be crazy.
that would be amazing.
We need to every player needs their passport.
I wouldn't be
Go through
complaining.
customs. But anyways, going into this game, top lane will probably be pretty slow starting off. Tom Kench is actually pretty strong early game, and Gwen really ramps up throughout the game. Also of note, Gwen has Ignite and TP. You typically see Ghost in TP, so that Ignite is extremely aggressive. Would have preferred to see the Ghost. But yeah, do have 3 TPs for the side of Valpo, 2 for the side of UBC. As we saw last game, that Zig's taking TP, and this game, our Zig's taking TP. As far as runes go, you did mention in the loading screen you got Summon Area from Syndra, but we do have a gank coming off from Super Bear, and we do see the counter gank presence there as well. Pretty much identical to the first game. Super Bear kind of being able to finish up his 3-camp rotation first, get into that mid lane, and the presence of UBC's jungler going to ward that one off. You do have Xin Zhao invading here, so this is happening from the mid prow for the side of UBC. Smolder chunked out, low on mana, not really able to help out there, so UBC taking advantage of that. Going to take a camp away from Super Bear, which is kind of tough.
We are going to see the stun get hit by Superver, not necessarily the greatest. UBC Jade keeping Valpo on the rope starting at the very start of game 2. With this being said, we are going to see that Xin Zhao is going to start laying claim to Superver's jungle, but Super is going to realize this and just rotate and take the next thing that he can, which is the Scuttle Crab in preparation for Dragon.
Yeah, so what to do if you're a jungler in that situation is you either have to concede or hope your top laner can roam down, but if you don't have Prow in either lane, there's really nothing you can do. But you do see a 2v1 here, UBC in great position for this one. Gwen trying to chase down this Tom Kench, does have Ignite, but the Ignite was spent earlier in that fight, and First Blood goes to the Xin Zhao here. Do have the log roaming down, was able to pick up some charms on the way, kind of just hanging out here, getting this push, and letting Smolder get a reset here.
Again, even though we've seen Smolder, or we're seeing Smolder be up, or Smolder kind of taking some early chunking from the Syndra, we are seeing though that Smolder is at the end of the day up in Jakimbo, is up in CS, which at this point, every extra gold matters. The extra 10 does probably allows him just enough to be able to get the refillable potion. And we are going to see the law popping Vision Plant in the river in order to start securing control over Vision in Dragon that is coming up in 6 seconds.
Yeah, so you see the slight deficit for the side of UBC in the mid lane as far as CS. But what that did was create a big lead for the jungle for UBC, which you're not seeing quite yet on your scoreboard. But Xin Zhao still has all of his camps remaining up with a slight gold advantage. But he's going to be coming top lane again. Dreadful's playing aggressive, does have vision. Is he able to dash out? Does a great going immune there. going to get the slow. Zinzao flashing, so he's able to get the knock up, get the stun, and Dreadful will be down early game. Is up in CS, but 0-2 in lane. Not going to be a great start for him.
Dreadful at this point now needing to be playing it, needing to just be playing under tower a little bit, not because of the lane matchup, but just because there's still little information about where Xin Xiao has been on the map.
Yeah, Tom Kench has great gank setup, so he's able to W from like half a lane away. But I think the issue is not having any like defensive summoners really, because Gwen doesn't typically go flash, which not having flash puts you kind of behind the 8 ball, but doesn't have ghost either, which would have been able to get them out. But you do see the Law given a helping hand here. Super Bear going to be a little late, and there was no CC for that W, unfortunately, so Tom Kench able to get out of that one. I would have liked to see the Law wait just a bit longer for the J4, but the ultimate mission was accomplished. Did fail the side quest, but they are going to pick up the 3 Void Grubs here.
And UBC Jade is going to again respond with looking at what they can do to match this, and for them it is getting first dragon, which is Infernal. Again, we've seen before that Infernal Dragon is not necessarily first 2 dragons. 2 grubs is just a lot stronger than the first 2 dragons. We are seeing Rakan try to chunk out Jakimbo, just not having the damage. Diadem and the Law do have to be careful, as the jungle is not their domain quite yet. We do see the stun. We do see the stun go off. The Law is low, but trying to see if the Law is able to escape. And overall, just again, some words of encouragement being shared by both teams in Valpo's jungle.
Yeah, so what happened there was we saw the lane swap. Ziggs moving up with the Bard for the Rift Herald, or for the Void Grubs, excuse me. Smolder was down in the bot lane. You had 3 members of UBC heading down there. Luckily, Valpo was able to bring Diadem and the Law back down to prevent any dive on the Smolder, and getting him kind of delayed in his scaling abilities. And Jakimbo's going to be back to catch this wave in the mid lane, so he is still on track with those stacks. But Tom Kench, pretty darn strong with 2 Giants builds here, just a ton of health, will eat the Gwen. But J4, will he come in time? And that, oh, and he just gets it. The Q healing that an auto just wasn't able to close it out there.
I will say that was a little greedy from Valpo's end, especially we see Super Bear's ultimate is online, and if it was used, could have probably ensured that Tom Kench wouldn't have gotten that kill. But again, this is the difference of being able to playing the game and knowing the truly limit tested with your teammates.
Yeah, that was a pretty scary fight, as that could have gone catastrophic, but Dreadful actually, as we take a peek at the gold lead, will have a slight gold advantage over the Tom Kench. We saw most of that gold go over to the Zinzao, as they did split those kills. Jakimbo down just a bit here, in part with the Smolder pick and the attention in that mid lane. And then Valpo down in the bot lane just a tad as well. Do see leads in support and I guess mid lane even. But as we take a look at the gold overall, UBC with the slightest of advantages. But I mean, even 100 gold can be just chalked up to wave positions as well. So.
Yeah. I mean, 200 gold is just buying 2 extra refill potions. We are going to see though that Xin Xiao is going to try to look for an engage here. Again, Dreadful does not have any good disengage. So ultimate was used earlier on the first third of Gwen's ultimate, but still, again, Dreadful needing to be careful about not overextending. We see that also Dreadful does have 2 wards up in his items.
I will say, in his defense, he did have 1 up when that gank happened, because I actually did look. But regardless, needs to use wards. That would help. But was able to survive that one. Gonna have to burn the TP there. And a lot of attention being put to this top side in this game. You know, we saw the attention in the mid lane early game just to try and stagnate this Smolder. But Dreadful is really the one drawing a lot of attention here. And that's allowing Valpo to kind of stay afloat here in other parts of the map. But I mean, Valpo scales extremely well in this game. And for them being, relatively even in gold, doing a pretty good job. Another thing to note, we do have Void Grubs in 20 seconds. Ziggs backing a tad late here. We will see Smolder move down after this wave, most likely. Valpo has 5 plates, or UBC has 5 plates on all their turrets. So I would like to see a Void Grubs into some sort of play to pick up some of these plates before they expire.
Yeah, I was gonna say we actually see Dreadful looks like was able to get one plate in the top side, but UBC Jade was able to get one plate in the bot side. We are seeing though that UBC Jade is going to rotate towards the grub, and we are gonna see Syndra TP to the bot lane in order to match the Ziggs. And this does mean that we are going to have a 3-3 Void Grubs game, so actual Void Grubs themselves are not going to be a thing this game.
Yeah, I like this because Valpo decides, okay, we're not in a great position to fight. Ziggs is going to TP bot, try and get some plates there. Was matched with the Syndra TP, but they did not have great vision. They weren't in a position to be able to fight that. So just giving it up is much better for them rather than, taking a fight, losing the Void Grubs like we saw UBC doing game 1.
And we're hearing a lot of pings in the spectator point of view, but that's with the assumption that both teams are pinging about what's heading up next. We are seeing though that Valpo is maybe looking to respond to that dragon take, but with Smolder being a little bit low on mana and still in the mid wave, it is looking like Valpo is going to give up the second dragon as well, which is not something you want to see. Zeke's nearly able to confirm being able to poach the Hextech dragon. We are going to see a Chemtech Soul is up for grabs.
Yeah, Valpo kind of just conceding these past 2 objectives. Like I said many times, they scale really well. This Gwen is going to be a monster late game, no matter where they really are at this position in the game. Smolder stacking up the tiers, stacking up their passive, eventually going to be a monster in team fights. Do got to be a little bit careful of the scaling from Heartsteel for Tom Kench, Syndra as well with the stacks, but I feel like late game is definitely going to be favored to Valpo though.
I was gonna say because right around 25 minutes, if you're proficient with Smolder, that's 25 minutes is usually about where Q3 starts to occur. And for those of you who don't know, the Q3 on Smolder, it does max health percent burn damage, and if at any point in time while they're under that burn, they get under about 5% health, it is just a true execute. It's a mini Elder Dragon. We are going to see that Tom Kench is going to get his first Heartsteel stack onto Dreadful. And again, it just means that about every 30 seconds, Dreadful has to be careful about trying not to give free Heartsteel stacks.
I'm a big Heartsteel fan. So Heartsteel, for the less experienced viewers in the world of League of Legends, if you are within a specific range, like closer to melee range, after 4 seconds, they can hit you and do a percent health. But we will have a fight here. Bard getting a huge ultimate, so Valpo will be able to focus on the Rakan. Rakan able to get out with the charm. Bard dropping really low, but able to TP out. Looks like both teams will concede in this fight. J4 getting out of there. And no harm done for the side of Valpo. Had a really good start to the fight with Bard finding 2 members with his ultimate. But unfortunately, Rakan was the last remaining member, so he was able to ult, dance around, charm, get out. But yeah, Heartsteel stacks up over time and gives you health for each proc you get from that auto attack. So really cool champion, a really cool item. And when it's on Tom Kench, he gains size and his Q gains range as he gains more max health. So Tom Kench and Cho'Gath being the main benefits with growing in size as well with their health. So really cool mechanic.
I was gonna say Heartsteel loved by bruisers who can use
loved
that.
by few.
Loved by few, and the few that it's loved, it is their favorite child. We are going to see Jakimbo is going to get bursted down by Syndra, not necessarily finding full purchase. Valpo is giving up another objective, which not necessarily what you want to see. Again, Valpo, again, you'd rather give up an objective than to give up a kill, but still, Valpo's now given up the past 3 objectives completely, which does suck if you're a Valpo fan. We do see though that because Jakimbo did buy Boots of Swiftness and he has tier, he does not have enough for first item yet.
Yeah, couple of reasons they had to give that objective was vision, first of all and foremost. Positioning, Dreadful also wanted to get that back, so he was able to buy an item there. So the timing wasn't really right. They weren't properly prepped for that objective. It's not the end of the world. Rift Herald can be super effective, can also be not that effective, just depending on when the use is, where the use is. You saw Valpo was super effective with the Rift Herald in game one because they were able to time it right after a team fight where they downed a lot of members.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, I 100% agree. Again, he's still my. It's never fun to give it up, but we are gonna see though that Smolder is at his Q2, which does kind of make it even more of an AoE ability. It does look like Valpo is going to hopefully is not going to continue the pattern. They are securing vision, and trying to secure for this Chemtech Dragon.
Jack Dragon spawning in 20 seconds, but we will see a fight here break out. Do have R3 coming in, will do a bunch of damage, and decides to just, back off a little bit. Love it. So, good fight there.
We are going to see, though, that Tom Kench's TP is down while Dreadful's isn't. So Dreadful could be looking for a teleport here. We are going to see that. We are going to see Rift Herald. The Rift Herald is going to get prot. And are we going to see the Law use the... We are going to see Law use the ultimate in order to prevent the Herald crash. Genuinely a really good use of it. And so now we are going to see a potential scuffle in the river, and this scuffle could determine how the next about 7 minutes of the match go. Tom Kench is alone in the top side, so it is a 4v5. And with the 3 Void Grubs that they have, Tom Kench will be able to get this tower, and this will be the first tower gotten. So Valpo does need to try to do something here with their 4v5.
All 3 TPs are down. They need to force on this dragon while they have the advantage here. Are going to end up losing this top turret regardless. Would like to see them go for this dragon. Maybe turn on a fight. Zinzao is looking for the 50-50, but eventually will back off. So Valpo going to pick up the drag. And UBC just decides to take prio. They'll get the mid turret, they'll get the top turret. So playing cross map there, and that will give them a bit of a gold lead here, as Dragon doesn't give gold, just raw stats. So you see a 2k gold lead to the side of University of British Columbia Jade. So starting to build a little bit of a lead here. It's funny to see that Rift Herald, how, like I said, like it's either super effective or not very effective. That one, not very effective. Yeah.
Well,
did 0 damage to the turret.
Burning an ultimate for 0 damage to a tower.
I was just gonna say I forgot completely about the Bard with that play, but using that Rift Herald like right before the objective is really good to kind of force the prio in the mid, draw them away from that river control, so you lose the vision, you lose the prio. So theoretically, would have been a really good use and really good timing. I just forget about Bard.
Bard's always a funny champion. Always is able to do a few more things than you feel like the kid is normally able to do. With that being said, though, we are gonna just continue to see. We see Rakan in the bot lane, maybe looking for potential dive on Jakimbo, or at the very least clearing vision, setting up his own. In terms of, again, we talked about the gold earlier. UBC Jade is going to have about a 2,000 gold lead. Again, not necessarily a bunch, but a little bit starts going a long way, especially when we're this even. But again, something very interesting is just a very different way of playing than we saw last game. We're 19 minutes in, and there are only 3 kills on the board.
We do see a fight break out here. We got J4 ulting in, and Smolder getting the 3 over the top with his ultimate. Zinzao going to be super tanky with that ultimate, trying to find a re-engage. Zeri playing pretty far in the front line. Zig will find some damage here. And we do see a fight in the top lane. Meanwhile, this R3 won't quite do it. Able to get some healing off of that. TP is up for Tom Kench, so maybe we'll look for a reset and TP towards that. For some reason, the way they were fighting, I thought Dragon was up, but it is not. But Baron is up. past 20 minutes. It is on the map. Dragon won't be for 230. Do have Tom Kench debuting in here. Do have ultimate down for Gwen. And will he find the trade kill? Ignite was down, so wasn't able to find it. And Rakan was up there as well.
That is going to be pretty
Yeah.
scary to Valpo. That is going to be pretty scary for Valpo, as right now we are going to see the Syndra TP, so the UBC Jade is not going to be looking for a Baron play here.
Yeah, we see not a lot of action. Mid, bot, and support are all 0-0-0. J4 does have 1 assist, and Gwen has all the kills and all the deaths.
If you're a fan of Dreadful, Dreadful might not have needed all 3 of those deaths.
Yeah, making a splash this game. Yeah.
Yeah, making a splash. And what
No,
that
no
splash?
BM to Dreadful. Played a phenomenal game 1, and surely he will come back and do damage in that side lane in the late game.
There is a plan for this. This is a calculated.
Yeah.
A calculated.
He's making them
lane.
think that he's not a threat, and then come 25 minutes, he's gonna R3 and just shred 5 of them and heal for a ton of health, and the game will be over.
He will truly cut them to pieces, as Gwen says.
But 2.5k gold lead for the side of UBC. Nothing quite significant. We do see J4 working his way to the top lane. Not exactly sure if that bush is warded. I believe it is, just based off of how Tom Kench is playing. Do have the dragon coming up in 1 minute though. Teleports will be up around the board. Other than Syndra, I believe, who will be playing there regardless. Do have Syndra going for the stun there. Wasn't able to find Bard. And Bard able to, kind of just auto and hang out.
Rakan also wasn't able to find. Rakan was able to
Oh,
find.
they're looking for a fight here. Great ultimate into the Ziggs ultimate. Gonna have the Smolder ultimate over top, and Valpo found their moment. Just an overextension by the side of UBC, and we're gonna tie it up 3-3. Able to work at that gold lead a little bit, and Ziggs gonna have shutdown gold here, 2-0.
Diadem showing the power of the Ziggs. Zeri and Zinxiao are gonna try to do something, but we're not gonna be able to find purchase. And Valpo with Rakan being down for 3 and Syndra being down for another 12 is gonna get a relatively free dragon. It does look like UBCJ might be trying to respond with a Baron play here, but Dreadful is in the top lane, being able to spot out the Zinxiao and be able to look for a potential quick back by Valpo in response to go to Baron.
Yeah, the great thing about that fight is it led to the mid turret, led to the dragon, and you do see have 3 members of Valpo with TP up. So I don't think this will go well for the side of UBC. I mean, I feel like they're going to have to back off here. Will Valpo be able to respond in time? I think so. They take it too slow, and they're going to have to back off. I think that's smart by them to back off because that could have gone terribly.
Yeah, it could have gone terribly, and
don't hate the play. They just don't have the damage yet.
Yeah, they don't have the damage, and they waited about an extra 10 seconds before they started taking it, which honestly could have been the difference. You could have fought the last like 1500, and you had your jungler there. Something to note is with Diadem's double kill, we are seeing that that gold lead is basically pretty much even, especially now with that top turret been destroyed. Something to point out as well is the 2 Chemtech dragons. For Chemtech, it gives a little bit of tenacity and shield power, and because of that, you're going to see that the stuns that are extremely helpful for UBC Jade are not going to be able to find purchase. Dreadful is absolutely chunking down Tom Kench. Diadem is able to get another kill as we see Diadem on an absolute rampage with the Bard throwing down the ultimate. The Ziggs all trying to find somebody. Diadem is on a triple kill and not being able to, doesn't look like he's going to be able to find a 4th or a 5th, especially with Zeri halfway across the map. But that opens up the game so much for Valpo, as Valpo has tied it up with basically a perfect gold tie of 39.9k for both teams.
Oh no! Did you see what happened there?
No, I didn't.
1 TP'd and it got canceled by the Baron. Trying to respond to that bot turret from Zeri. He got knocked up by the little Baron root thing. Anyways, Diadem on fire this game. 5-0. leading the way for Valpo. And eventually, the Smolder is absolutely chunking in team fights. Eventually, he's going to start finding those kills once his abilities start executing. So he's going to be taking the kills whether he likes it or not. Zeri doing a phenomenal job this game for the side of UBC. Has that shutdown gold with 000. Has just been farming extremely well. Has over 10 CS a minute. I mean, Valpo's farming really well. They're, at that 9 CS a minute. It's just this guy's exceeding that.
Yeah, Zeri is realizing that just farming a little bit is exactly where she needs to be.
A lot
And
of it.
I thought that sound effect might mean it's 25-45. I think it might mean that Smolder might be at Q3.
Yeah,
If-
let's take a quick peek. We can.
He's at 229. It was. It could have
was?
been.
Could
I
have
think it was.
Bard also has how many stacks there?
140? I can never
And
tell.
Syndra?
98. Ooh, Syndra's going to be very scary. So if she's able to get in one more extended team fight or hits level 15, that is going to be a true 15% execute. True damage execute being the name of the game here. It does look like they are going to try to go for a collapse on Jakimbo, but the Law and Super are here to respond.
Huge stun onto the Syndra. Smolder are all over the top. And the J4 ultimate going to be able to close it out eventually. Not after the Syndra ult comes out. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Zinzao going to be on the Smolder, and a great Bard ult able to save the Smolder and stop the Zinzao. J4 likely going to pass here. And where is Valpo, though? They are in the top lane. Gwen with the Baron, able to get that split push. No one to match at the moment. Do have somebody backing down there. I can't see. But Zeri will respond eventually.
But again, Valpo trading a super bear death for another kill in the bot lane, but also forcing University of British Columbia Jade to have to fully respond to that, allowing Dreadful to get a second tower and to push the wave up, continuing to assert dominance and even start negating some of Xin Zhao's jungle camps.
And right before that, got the bot outer turret as well. So 1-for-1, 2 turrets to the side of Valpo. So this gold lead has completely swung. That 2k gold lead is now on the side of Valpo. A lot of that gold is going to be on the Ziggs. The Ziggs got a lot of gold. But I mean, across the board, they've just been farming well, playing well, have the lead in the top lane, mid lane, ADC. Actually don't have the lead in the ADC. That's actually kind of crazy.
Yeah,
that just tells you like how like
with 11
crazy
CS a minute.
is. Yeah,
11. Yeah, Zeri is at 300 CS at 27 minutes. That is absolutely crazy because that is it's almost 4 items.
Yeah, I mean this is hard to do in a custom game, let alone a comp game.
I know, running CS drills. Getting 100 CS in 10 minutes is hard enough, and now Zeri's at 304 at 28.
At some point, are going to have some impact in these team fights, though.
We are just seeing that Dreadful is just able to completely push, and Jade really not being able to find any of their skill shots landing.
Yeah, Jade's got to commit one way or another. They either got to collapse on Dreadful, which is the play in my opinion, because they can't really contest this Baron with Dreadful having the TP, and a great Bard ultimate will secure the Dragon for them. Ziggs ult over the top, going to do a ton of damage, and Ziggs finding the kill again. Do have J4 Flag and Dragon towards this Tom Kench. Will they have the CC when he W's out? Flag and Dragon will not be back up. Did have to use the Q there. And Zeri, with all that CS, is going to ult, but going to have to jump out there.
Kimbo does have to be careful here, as he is going to get shut down. Super Bear is going to go in here trying to find the purchase to find anything, not be able to find anything, but Dreadful with the TP is able to shut down the team with a triple kill going to Dreadful and a reverse ace. You were saying earlier, as soon as Dreadful's able to get 3 items and go snip, and Dreadful did just that to get a triple kill with that instant TP.
We didn't doubt him for a second.
We would never doubt Dreadful. And with the Ziggs munitions being fully up and available, the Baron power play is gone, but Valpo is still at about almost a 4K 3,500 gold lead, but with three chem tech and with a 4th one hopefully on the way to the side of Valpo, genuinely goes to show that extra tenacity just is so strong to being able to get out of stuns a lot faster, which again, UBC Jade is needing them to be stunned, and any extra fractions of a second that they're not stunned, more damage and more abilities that can come out from Valpo's end. So Chemtech Soul might have been a blessing, might be a blessing for Valpo.
Zeri did finally get shut down, finally had some action, went from 0-0-0 at 30 minutes to 1-1 and 2, and falling below that 11 CS a minute. Shaking my head, disappointed.
I know, only 10 CS a minute, which is still absolutely crazy. Dreadful is a huge wave that is that is being pushed on the top side. We are going to see that UBC Jade attempt to find something here. Super Bear is going to look for something on the Syndra, but Syndra's E is going to push him back. We are going to see the flash come out
Whoa.
We are going to see the flash come out. Law's ult finds purchase on one member of Valpo. Finds purchase on one person, and we're in the middle of a team fight. We're seeing that Valpo is able to absolutely start take this back. Smolders execute, doing major damage here. Going to be able to also execute Tom Kench, as Diadem is just continuing the onslaught of damage, being able to find a pick on the Rakan. Super is low here. There is no reason for him to continue this engage right now. Definitely nice to get another kill on Syndra, but don't give up kills if you don't have to. And with that being said, Valpo takes that fight 4-1 and is robbing Xin Xiao's jungle's lunch money for all it's worth. And with that being said, we're seeing Valpo is going to take the 4-man Baron. Dreadful will be up in 10 seconds, and it looks like at the speed that Baron is being taken, Dreadful will also be given the Baron buff when he spawns in just about right, perfectly on time, especially since
they're going to wait a split second if not, but yep, good to go.
Yeah, there's no members of University of British Columbia Jade able to respond to that. With that being said, we're going to see the backs and a lot of items being purchased. We see that Dreadful is 3 items, almost 4 with the needless, with two large rods, almost at decap. Super Bear 3 items completed, working on 4th. Jakimbo, I'm pretty sure, also just has completed 3rd with some major components. Yeah, with Zeal and Slingshot. Ziggs up with 4 items and the Blading Jewel for Void Staff, and we see the Law with the Redemption and the Locket of Iron Solari just being really strong here. And with that being said, Super is able to catch out Sunshine in a pretty major way. Does pop the ultimate to ensure that he gets out. The ultimate from Jakimbo, able to find purchase, just barely being able to find the Zeri in that play. We're seeing the Law and Jakimbo go in on the Zeri, the exhaust being thrown, Zeri ultimate being used, trying to escape. Barrier also being thrown, but Jakimbo is completely unstoppable, having a triple kill so far. And with Valpo pushing this wave up, it's really only a matter of time before UBC Jade has one final push to make what the game wants to look like.
Yeah, and it looks like Valpo is going to close out this series with a 2-0 victory, moving up to 3-1 on the season. I mean, they played this game much different style, played patient in their early game, executed very well in the mid game to provide this lead to finish out the game. And with that being said, it will be an ace to end it off. Diadem 8-0-11, and Jakimbo getting his lick in as well, 7-1-10, and that will do it for our series tonight. So, what are your thoughts, Monsieur, on Game 2 there?
Absolutely amazing play by Valpo. We've been seeing a lot of times that Valpo's kind of struggled with the communication on terms of calling out targets, calling out what objective they're going to do. And I think that this series against University of British Columbia Jade really showed that Valpo's really started to take the matter of comms back into their own hands and actually start talking about what they need to do, who they need to target, and being able to start snowballing those leads into genuine game changers, even just at the very start of each game.
Yeah, Valpo looking great today. A little bit hard on the team just because we have so high expectations for this team this year. But in a great spot, they're 3-1. In a great spot for good seeding in the playoffs. And I know Dreadful would be disappointed if I didn't mention that he did chart this game, despite the 4 deaths. So great job with that 40k damage. Anyways, I mean Valpo looking really clean in this series against a strong opponent in University of British Columbia. But that will do it for us tonight. We got a lot of games this week due to some fall break games getting pushed back. So yeah, make sure you guys tune in for future streams. I believe our next stream will be at 7 p.m. tomorrow, potentially for Academy Overwatch. I believe that is the time slot. Anyways, we will see you guys next time. It's been a pleasure. My name is Henry Speedy Kill Ninja.
And my name is Adam Monsieur, and thank you guys again so much for tuning in, and go Beacons.